Let's just get right into it. Is that little device in your hand right now actually changing how your brain is wired? It's one of the biggest questions of our time, and we're going to unpack it. You know the feeling, right? You just meant to check one little thing on your phone, and then you look up, and an hour, maybe more, is just God. It's like you were in a trance, sucked into this digital vortex. What were you even looking at?
Well, there's actually a name for that state: zombie scrolling. It's that mindless, endless scrolling where you're not really paying attention, not really engaging, you're just swiping. You're just looking for that next little hit of something new.
Now, here's the most important thing to get right away. If this happens to you, and it happens to almost everyone, it is not a personal failure. This has nothing to do with you being weak or lacking self-control. There's a much bigger reason this is so common.
It's because that feeling, that compulsion to just keep scrolling, is completely engineered. The apps, the feeds, the notifications, they're all meticulously designed to hook your attention and not let go. It's literally called addictive design.
So how do they do it? How do they actually build this compulsion into an app? Well, the secret lies in a tiny, powerful chemical in your brain. Let's get into the science of what we call the dopamine trap. This quote from the Amen Clinics really nails it. Every single time you get a like or see a funny video or even just get a notification, your brain gets a tiny little reward, a little hit of dopamine. And over time, your brain learns to crave that feeling, conditioning you to keep coming back for more.
And this creates an incredibly powerful habit loop. It works like this. A notification buzzes. That's the cue. Your behavior is to pick up the phone. The reward is that little spark of pleasure from the dopamine hit. And every single time you complete that loop, that connection in your brain gets stronger, making the urge to check it again even harder to resist next time.
But here's where it gets really crazy. See, natural rewards, like having a great conversation with a friend, give you a nice, steady, regulated dose of dopamine. But digital rewards, they're unpredictable. You never know when you're going to see something amazing. This is called a variable reinforcement schedule, and it triggers these huge, uncontrolled dopamine surges, hijacking your brain in the exact same way a slot machine gets a gambler hooked.
And this constant hijacking of your brain's reward system is not just a feeling. It has real, measurable physical effects. Let's take a look at what's actually happening to the structure of your brain.
You know, the effect has become so well known that brain rot was actually named Oxford's Word of the Year. It's a slang term, sure, but it describes this feeling that our minds are kind of deteriorating from all the time we spend online. And while it isn't a medical diagnosis, it points to a very real phenomenon that scientists can now see and measure.
And the science is kind of startling. MRI studies are showing actual physical changes in the brains of people with problematic smartphone use. We're talking a measurable loss of gray matter in the prefrontal cortex. That's like the CEO of your brain, in charge of decision-making and impulse control. Same thing in the anterior cingulate cortex, which helps regulate emotions. It's even damaging the white matter tracts, the information highways of your brain, which basically slows down communication between different brain regions.
And it's not just the structure, it's the chemistry. That constant stream of notifications, that little bit of anxiety or fear of missing out, keeps your body in a state of high alert. This causes your levels of cortisol, the main stress hormone, to be chronically elevated. You're basically keeping your nervous system in a constant low-grade state of fight or flight. Okay, so we've got physical changes to the brain and a chronic stress response. What does that actually mean for you in the real world? Well, it leads to the high cost of distraction. It's about losing your ability to just focus.
Get this, studies show that even on a good day, the average person's mind is wandering nearly half the time, 47% of our waking hours. But constant scrolling makes this so much worse. It's training our brains to constantly seek out something new, making it feel almost impossible to stick with one single, important task for any length of time.
And the fallout from that is huge. Our attention spans become fragmented, our memory gets weaker because our brain is never given the quiet time it needs to consolidate information. Our critical thinking skills suffer because we're just skimming headlines instead of deep diving. And then there's the blue light from our screens at night, which messes with our melatonin and absolutely wrecks our sleep, which is the most important thing for brain repair. Now, I know this all sounds really alarming, maybe even a little hopeless, but this is the most important part of this whole conversation. The damage is not permanent. It's time to talk about taking back control, because your mind, your focus, it is absolutely worth fighting for. There's this incredible concept called neuroplasticity, and all it means is that your brain is constantly changing and adapting based on what you do.
The very same process that allowed your phone to rewire your brain for distraction can be used to rewire it back for focus. Your brain can heal.
So how do we actually do that? You don't have to throw your phone in a river. Instead, we can use a few simple, practical strategies, a toolkit, if you will, to build a much healthier relationship with our technology.
So here's your toolkit. First, try switching your phone to grayscale. Without all those bright, shiny colors, it becomes way less appealing to your brain. Second, create phone-free zones. The bedroom is the most important one. Protect your sleep at all costs. Third, schedule your scrolling. Instead of checking it randomly all day, set aside a few specific times. And fourth, try a mini digital detox. Start small, just 30 minutes phone-free when you wake up or before you go to bed.
Look, you're not just fighting a bad habit here. You're up against an entire engineered system. The infinite scroll, the autoplay videos, it's all designed to trap you. But your toolkit, that's you fighting back. That's you deciding to take the control back into your own hands. And the research on this is crystal clear. Being always on, never being able to truly detach from our devices has a real negative impact on our well-being. The ability to just put the phone down and be present in your own life is no longer a luxury. It's a critical skill for your mental health.
So, I'll just leave you with this one question. In a world where trillions of dollars are spent trying to capture your attention, you have to realize that it is your single most valuable resource. The algorithms have already decided where they want you to spend it. The real question is, where will you choose to invest it?